I really love it when a fantasy book has a strong female protagonist. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my personal favorite recent reads that have female main characters in their books. So hello my fellow fantasy book lovers and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi and welcome. My name is Kathy and I'm a god girl from Belgium who loves to read fantasy books. Now the books that I'm going to be talking about in this video all have female main characters, or if they have multiple POVs, because some of them do, I love the female main character in them. So without further ado, the first book is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This is the first book in a series that is still being written. I think it's going to be 7 books in total. The female main character that we follow in this book is Paige Mahoney, and in the world where this book is set, there are people who have psychic abilities and they're actually being kind of banned from this world or seen as something that isn't normal, isn't natural, and that is being like chased and reported and like put into prisons, etc. Of course, our main character has some of these abilities. She's actually a very special person in this book. I'm not gonna tell too much about it, but I feel like the way that she isn't just playing the victim as a lot of female characters in books do, I really enjoyed it, and I also feel like Samantha Shannon really fleshed her out even more in the reworks of The Bone Season. So I'm currently still waiting on the 3 other books, so the Mime Order, I'm not sure of the other names right now, they're not on top of my head, but I actually ordered all 4 of them. So the first one I got the moment it was released, and then the other 3 reworked versions have been pre-ordered. If you haven't started this series yet, I could highly recommend it to you. And I feel like the world building for this series is very unique and different compared to other books, because it takes place in some sort of London, and then also in some sort of Paris is mentioned, and there is like different realms, and it seems complicated, but once you start reading it all starts making sense. And Samantha Shannon is really good at setting the scene for this epic fantasy series that I'm really looking forward to when she continues it, because now she's reworked the first books. Like, it's been 10 years since she wrote the first one, and now she's reworked it and continuing on book 2, 3 and 4, and then she's gonna keep on writing 5, 6 and 7, I hope, because yeah, I'm really excited to keep reading these. The next book is actually a YA fantasy book called Bonesmith, and the female main character from this book is called Wren. She's also pictured on the cover of the book. At the beginning of the book, we follow Wren as she is struggling in the final challenge that she has to complete to officially become a bonesmith and be appointed a job as a bonesmith. A lot of things go wrong, but I feel like Wren really is like a fighter and like a fierce one, and I just really enjoyed this book in general. I really enjoyed how the main character was written in this book, the abilities that she has. Of course, there is something special about her, because otherwise she wouldn't be like the main character of the book. But I felt like this was one of my YA discoveries or YA books that I really loved a lot last year while reading it. So if you're into like dark magic, necromancy, not exactly, but kind of, then I think you will also really enjoy Bonesmith, and I personally really enjoyed the main character. Up next is Viv the Orc from Legends and Lattes and Bookshops and Bonedust. I feel like Travis Baldree has really given the orc characters a new dimension with creating Viv the way that he did, with giving her a strong backstory, especially in Bookshops and Bonedust. You feel that coming through even more. Yeah, I really enjoyed her. Legends and Lattes and Bookshops and Bonedust are 2 books that follow on to each other, as in Bookshops and Bonedust is a second book that came out, but it's actually before Legends and Lattes, and you get a few nudges from the first book in the second one and vice versa. And of course we follow the same main character, Viv the Orc, and I feel like this is like the best cozy fantasy books that I have personally read. They are low stakes because in these particular books not a lot is happening, but it is still a high fantasy book and still has a lot of depth. So yeah, I really love Viv the Orc from Legends and Lattes. And this is what Viv looks like, so she's the orc in green. Up next is Sarah Hawley's A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch, and the witch in this book is called Calladia Connington, a name that I, for the love of me, can never remember. What I do remember about her is that she is like this tall, blonde, fitness-going witch that like exercises a lot, that is super fit, that really no one wants to like get in trouble with because she's so strong. And that's like I loved it. This is a purely romantasy book, so it is romance-based and not purely fantasy-based. It has, of course, some fantasy elements in it, because demons, of course. But this book really made me realize that there is a big lack of tall female main characters in books, and not just the petite girls like in some of the books that I read, that I personally don't relate to. So this was the first female main character that I kind of related to, because she's also tall and she's also not like super skinny and whiny. Like, she really stands up for herself. She's a very strong person. So if you're looking for a fun romantasy read, then this is for you. This is the second book in a series written by Sarah Hawley. If you read the first book, which is A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, and then you have this one, and then the third one is also coming out in August this year. You can read them on their own, but it's more fun if you read them like all of them, because there is some world building going on that you will miss if you only read one of the books. But still, I absolutely love this. Of course, I also have to include a vampire book, and of my recent vampire-based reads, Serpent and the Wings of Night definitely was one of them that I fell most for the female main character, or related to her a little bit, and felt like, okay, this is something that I want more information about. I want to know more about her without getting bored of her immediately. So the female main character in this particular book is called Oraya. She's a 19-year-old human girl, and she has been raised as the daughter of the vampire king of the kingdom that she is part of. However, there is a trial every so often. I'm not sure how many years exactly the trial was that she's part of now, and she's kind of competing to win the favor of a goddess, and with that favor she would have the ability of becoming very, very powerful. So in this book we follow her as she is going through this. It's not really Hunger Games, but it feels a little bit Hunger Games-esque, and I felt like she made her own independent decisions for a lot of the things happening in the book. She also knows that there are consequences to some of her actions, etc. But I felt like for a human in a vampire world, and also the way that this book was written, I really fell strongly for her. And of course, the spice in some of the end chapters of this book was very good as well. So if you haven't read it yet, if you like vampires, if you like Hunger Games style competition rounds where there's a lot of fighting involved, almost all of the characters from these books are vampires. You will hate some of them, you will love some of them. There is, of course, also the human farming, etc. included. And there is, of course, a second book to this series already as well. I haven't read that one just yet, so I can't tell you how the character evolves, but in the first book, I really enjoyed her. And then to end this list, I want to talk about my personal favorite one, and it is Mia Corvere from the Nevernight trilogy by J. Kristoff. Mia is such a badass character, that's the best way I can describe her, that I felt like, wow, she had such a terrible past, she grew from it, she started fighting for her own rights and for herself and for what she feels is right. It isn't always right, but she feels like it is. And yeah, it's really cool how J. Kristoff represented her in his books. Now, when reading these books, when you read some of the scenes that are more romantically inclined or sexually inclined, you will notice that it is written by a man and not by a woman, but I felt like J. Kristoff still did a really good job at portraying Mia as this really badass girl in these books. And she actually, it isn't really a coming of age trilogy, because this is the first book of the trilogy that is somewhere over there on my shelves. It isn't really a coming of age story, but you do feel her grow into her own skin and into her own actions and in who she is and what she represents in these books. So Mia Corvere is by far my personal favorite female main character from a book series. And then, of course, I would love to know from you, who is your personal favorite female main character of a fantasy book that you have read? This could be recent reads, this could be a past read that you've read a very long time ago. But yeah, I would love to know which one is yours. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I make new videos every week and I would love to have you here for every single one of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye!